So, I was online and I was looking at a post that was about, ministers and reverends who have money. And, immediately you go to the comments in the comment section and you see so much that talks about, how they're going to hell and all of these false witnesses that people bear. And it got me thinking, like, do people even really read the Bible or understand wealth? Like, I feel like a lot of the accusations towards people who are rich or people who have money are based off of how that individual views money. So, for instance, me having money, you can't dictate how much of an evil person or even a good person I am by the amount of money that I have. But for whatever reason, people think that they can. So, your perception of that individual is truly your perception of yourself. And it's unfortunate that, you reveal your hand in calling someone guilty or calling someone this. And that's why you reject money so much. And it's a problem because right now, the people who are rejecting money the most need it the most. And we see it all the time in everyday life. We see it in the movies that they portray. We see it in the celebrities. We see it in, like I said earlier, pastors and ministers. And it's troubling because, we're supposed to be actively working to build money to be able to help others with the money that we have, in my belief. And I don't go about bragging about, the people that I give to or the charities that I give to. If I give to any charities, that's no one's business. I don't believe in bragging about what you do with your money. I don't believe in disclosing everything about what people do with their money. But for some odd reason, poor people feel as though they have the right to know what other people are doing with their money, as if it's under your jurisdiction. Poor people are the ones who don't want to give to homeless people because they're worried about what they might do with the money, as if it's your money after it's given to them. Poor people who have a poor mindset. When I say poor, I don't just mean poverty. I mean like just a horrible mindset are the ones that says, oh, well, this pastor shouldn't have all of this money. He's using God to get this money, da 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 da, just because he has money, not knowing anything about their finances, not knowing anything about what it is that they do. And people be capped so much because when you ask the four-word question, how do you know? No one has a legitimate response. No one has a good response to how they know. So I need you to reflect on yourself and ask yourself, do I have a money rejection complex? And we took a look at the meaning of the word complex, and here it is right here. In this aspect, this is just one of the definitions of complex. A related group of emotionally significant ideas that are completely or partially repressed and that cause psychic conflict leading to abnormal mental states or behavior. Now, I had to think about that when I looked at that meaning because everybody, to some degree, may have this complex. You have stars losing their mind because they feel guilty that they've made so much money and people that they know didn't, as if it's their responsibility to make that person money. You have a talent that you share with the world, and then you you go about making tons of money, and other people who are lazy, who want handouts, feel as though that you're this and that you're that, and you fall victim to those false accusations. Now, the truth of the matter is, I got to make sure that I am straight. And if I can show people how to make money, well, then great. I will show you how to make money. But I have no guilt in me if I'm making, let's say, $100 million and you're making $50,000. That's your business. And that's the way that you handle your business. I have no feeling that money is an evil thing. I know a person that I used to work with. He used to always say how he didn't want to get rich. He didn't want to get too rich. He did because money does things to you. Falsely giving money an evil spirit, and when you give money that evil spirit, you cause that evil spirit to come upon you. The truth of the matter is, the money can't be evil. It's the individual that's wielding the money that makes it evil. So you got to ask yourself, are you an evil person? If you think evil of money, if you think that people who have money and make a lot of money are evil, are you an evil person? Because you can talk about what you would do with the money, but what are you really doing with the money right now? The money that you make right now, are you giving to the poor? Are you doing all of these things? Or are you just giving a whole bunch of lip service because you feel like you can get away with not giving anything because you don't feel like you have anything? Are you afraid to accumulate anything or even grow anything because of the fact that you feel guilty, like that gentleman that I worked with? All of these are questions that I got to ask myself about money. And I need to reflect on whether or not I have a money rejection complex. Now, how do I get over this money rejection complex? Well, me personally, I look at the Bible and I look at all of the patriarchs in the Bible, and I can't think of any of them that were poor, but I can look at all of the ones that are wealthy. You know, the Solomons, the Davids, the Abrahams, the Isaac, the Jacob, the Jesus, who people want to pretend is poor. But I mean, you know, when you look at the fact that Jesus was giving gold at his birth, I don't know anyone that was given gold by his birth. I don't know people who wear Brioni suits right now, which is the seamless robes that he wore in his day. And people question, well, would he drive in a Rolls Royce? Well, why wouldn't he drive in a Rolls Royce? I wouldn't see him in a Honda. You know, people, it is you that think adversely about money. But if I sit up here and I buy a Rolls Royce and they say, well, I can't spend $300,000 or $600,000 on a car. Well, I mean, that's your business. But if I'm making several $100 million, what is it to spend $600,000 on a car? And they say, well, other people are poor. Well, that's other people's fault. Money doesn't work like that. Money is something that can get circulated and increase regardless of who you are. And there's been too many people in this world that has grown beyond what they appeared or grown beyond what they initially started with when it comes to money. The truth, the bottom line is that money isn't limited. Yeah, there are rich folks that want you to believe that. And if you believe that, then you are truly a victim of what those rich folks talk about. Those rich folks that don't want you to have it. But there are rich folks that want you to have money because they know that it's an unlimited source. And money is something that is true. And money is something that is given by God. There are too many situations in life where there are too many situations in the Bible where God's people have tremendous amounts of money. However, you allow society to diminish the view of how much money they were. For instance, they talk about the three wise men. They came with gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Well, it doesn't say that there were three wise men. It just says that there were wise men. So it could have been 2, or it could have been 200, could have been 2,000, could have been 20,000. Nobody knows. But the fact of the matter remains, Jesus being the descendant of Solomon, being the descendant of David, would inherit their wealth. I can't see Jesus being unwealthy. I can't see Jesus as being poor. But that's what people seen on television. That's why people view Jesus as being white. That's why people view Jesus as being poor. And they always review him at being at the lowest state. They do that. Society does that to control man and to control Christians. Truth of the matter is, Jesus wasn't poor. Jesus was rich, very rich. And Solomon was very rich. David was rich. Abraham was very rich. Like, these are individuals that had money and that talked about business, but cursed are the people who are believing what man says as opposed to what God says. And the people always talk about the warnings that the Bible gives about money. None of these warnings are saying not to have it. It's just telling you that, yeah, there are some things that can happen when you have money. Doesn't mean that you don't have it. It means you got to have control. You have to have control of yourself. Look at all of the warnings that I have about the Bible. Just look at it. Now look at all of the blessings that it tells you about the people who are blessed, about the people who are wise, about the people who are good. And then look at what all of the people who are wicked were. Look at what happened to all of the people who are wicked. And then you got to ask yourself, like, are you the wicked one? Are you the individual who thinks adversely about money because you have a wicked train of thought? Change your thinking. Change the way you are viewing things in life, because the things that you're looking at right now are not 100% true. And the things that society is embedding into your mindset is not true in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Stop believing the lies. Believe the truth that what God says about you. And there's nothing wrong with being rich.